Hi, I'm Joyce, and this is Humanities 1 or 2, and it's a video project. For my video project, I chose the interesting narrative of the life of Aleuda Equiano, the African. This is his narrative. He wrote it, he put in his own word, explaining his experiences doing the slave trade. His early life begins in Nigeria, in Benin State. He was born in 1745. And he came from the Igbo tribe. In his village, they live a very simple life. The villagers come together to help to build huts, to farm. They work together. Money wasn't valuable. They exchanged gifts between one another. So for cultural, the chiefs led the people. They had priests, magician, and medicine men. The chief or the head of the household had a mark on their face. We call it mark of distinction to show how important they are. So for custom, during each meal, they always wash their hands and pour a little portion of food or liquor on the ground to give to the dead for protection, so the dead can protect them from evil spirits or evil doing. Okay, from tradition, the father eats alone, mother and children eat together. The father in the same hut sleep with their male kids, and the mother sleep in another hut with their male kids. Slavery, eat by themselves, and they sleep at another hut. So marriages are arranged at a young age. So for marriage, they will give a dowry, slave, they will give food, household supplies, and other stuff. So at the age of 11, while his parents went to the farm, while they were farming, looking for food, he and his sister were kidnapped by African slave traders who captured them and took them away from their home. He was separated from his sister the next day, which was so devastating because he cried. They were so devastated. They were so young. They left their home, they left their family, and they went away without seeing their parents. So what all they knew, their custom and culture, were taken away from them when they separated. So the next day, he and his sister were separated. He went. About a few days later, he came in contact with his sister. He saw his sister. He was so happy. Both of them held hands the whole time, sleeping together. But next day, they had to separate, and that was the last time he saw his sister. Imagine being away from your family member, seeing your sister that you thought you was going to see forever, and all of a sudden, it separated you guys. It was really devastating to him. But he was taking all across Africa. He came across so many different slave masters, African slave masters, actually. There was one instant he ate doing meal. He said he was older than the slave master's son. He was the first to eat. So he thought, because in his custom, that was the same thing. He would eat first. The older child would eat first than the younger child. And he felt like that was different because in his custom, his tribe, a slave would never eat with the natural born kids. They all would eat by themselves. So that was something that he thought was really different. As an 11-year-old child traveling through the slave trade, he was treated well, mostly well with the African slave masters. So after that, he came onto the Middle Passage. They sold him to the European, and he came in contact with the Middle Passage to go to the Caribbean. When he in the ship, this is really important because in the ship the condition was so deplorable. Slaves were dying from diseases. They were being beaten. Slaves were jumping over the water trying to escape slavery. So they preferred suicide over the life of slave. Kids was dying. Women were being raped. The condition was just deplorable. They was being suffocated with all the filth and nasty feces and everything. From their own feces, they were being suffocated. There was no ventilation in the slave trade. And those that they caught jumping over, they rescued from the water, they really beat them mercifully to show the other slaves that is not allowed. You are not to jump over the water. What we say, it stays. To put fear in them, actually. Using psychology to put fear in them so they don't try to do anything like that. So when he arrived in the Caribbean. When he arrived in the Caribbean, he was taken to Virginia on a plantation for a little bit. He stayed there until one day a lieutenant from the British Navy Army, the British Navy Army came by the name of Michael Pascal, came over and bought him and took him on the voyage, on the trip to England. On the ship, he met a lot of people who helped him along the way. They taught him how to read, they taught him how to write. He was learning the English way of life. And he began to change his mindset because he started to say, oh, these people I thought was monsters that are going to eat me. After all, they are good people. They treated me well. And when he got to England, he saw England. He was so surprised to see such a big country, big city, that white people wasn't eating one another. They wasn't enslaving one another. They was actually happy more than his people in Africa. So all these kind of people he encountered, he became baptized and accepted the Christian faith. With that faith, he used the Bible to help abolish slavery. He talked to white people, said slavery is not good. God said we are all created equal. Why are you enslaving one another? We should find a different means to help with this, for you guys to earn money, for Africa as well to earn money, for everybody to be happy, so the slavery can stop. He tried to do that. He wrote his book. His book was very successful, and he was very successful. And he was very he participated in the abolishment of slavery. But because of all what he went through, he was able to help abolish slavery, because he at first hand he experienced slavery. He himself was a slave, but with the release of his book, it helped to put a light on slavery and the abolishment of slavery. So there are so many moments. As I said, I talked about the passage, the middle passage, how slaves was being beaten, how they were being killed, how they was in a filthy, like a death trap, actually. How most of them died from diseases. This was a turning point during it. So after the seven-year war, when he fighting with the British Army, they fighting the French, after the war, Pascal sold him to another master. But in his mind, during that time, he thought he was going to be free. He was preparing his freedom, what to do, his freedom, how to prepare himself, how to enhance his education. So when Pascal saw him, he was so devastated. He said, I have served you for all these years. You took all my money. You took all my money and all my earnings. I supposed to be free, by the way, by law. I cannot be sold anymore because I'm baptized. But Pascal didn't hear his side of the story and sold him anyway. Within a short time, he was also sold again to another guy, a Quaker, who said, if you work hard enough and earn X amount of money, you will be free. He took that and ran with it and tried to. Each time he went on the ship, he went to America and he went to the Caribbean. He bought goods. He sold goods, and he sold goods and saved up enough money to be able to buy his freedom. He bought his freedom. He was so excited. He felt like he was he was flying on air. So he bought his freedom. He went back to England and tried to make living, but England was difficult, so he went back on the slave ship. So there's so many things. These things all help me understand the reading. From him being kidnapped, to him being on a slave ship, from him being in Virginia, for him being in the Great Britain. So he was free. He was able to earn his money. And he was able to live the Englishman dream. He thought he was an Englishman. So on my own part, like what I see in this as relate to my culture. I'm from Liberia, and when I was growing up, I used to go visit my grandmother in the village, and we used to go to the farm and plant the same plantain he talked about in his book. We used to plant plantain, eat plantain, edible, and all the food he talked about. I grew up with all the food, so when I was reading them, it brought memory. Memory came back of my childhood. And also, there was a war in my country in 1990 that lasted for so many years. During the war, me and the rest of my family got separated from my mom, and I haven't seen her ever since. I don't know. I think she's dead because she haven't contacted any of us. And we went to so many other different countries till we finally came to the U.S. years ago. So well, I would definitely recommend this book. I would recommend it because it's educational. It details a person. It details a person experience through slavery and how he helped to abolish slavery, and he changed how he helped to abolish slavery. So one thing I missed when he was on the boat, Pascal changed his name to Gustavus Vasa, and that his name. But when he wrote his book, he used Aliano Equiano, Olio Equiano. Thank you.